Welcome to the Gary Null Show, a program designed to enhance mental, physical, and spiritual well-being through science and the wisdom of the ages. Let us take you on a journey of empowerment. Sit back, relax, and get ready to change your life for good.
Hi everyone, I'm Gary Null. Last week here on the Gary Null Show, we started the process of showing you when we become imbalanced, we eat too much junk foods, we overdrink, or we're overstressed, or we spend more than what we make, we create imbalance. Today, concluding rebalancing your life. And so artificially, by illusion, we try to make everybody separate, as if they no longer fit. Well, you can't dress that way anymore. Look at your hair. You can't get away with that. Why not? Well, because you're, okay, I'm still the same person, aren't I? Well, society, and then you start realizing, oh, society says I can't dress this way, I can't act this way, I can't go someplace. Oh, we made a mess of things. We've just artificially separated out people, races, religions, cultures. My God, we've got so many separations. How does anyone know where they fit? And then they're confused when you go from one decade to the next and now you don't even fit where you did before. There was a woman who worked in a company that I worked with for about 3 months when I first came to New York City. It was a major Fortune 500 company. And when I was there, I saw I'd never want to work in a company. I'd rather be unemployed or work for myself and take a chance because I just didn't fit anywhere. Any of you feel you just don't fit anywhere? All right. Well, I don't feel I fit anywhere. I don't. I don't fit in corporate America. I don't fit in government. I don't fit in industry. I don't fit in movements because I don't like the ego or the lack of balance and the mindset of most people who run movements. That doesn't mean the movements don't have legitimacy. I can believe in a movement. I just never believed in anyone who's led a movement. And so then I just realized, well, I just don't fit anywhere. So what I did was I took a look around, and in this world, this woman had been there for 45 years at this one desk in this one company. And I'm sitting on the desk across from her, and there was a group of a bunch of them that had been there a long time. And this woman had her, retirement party, and they took a half hour to have that, and cut her cake and all this. And then the next day she was gone. It was a sad goodbye. Then about a month later, she comes back one day. She came back to say hello. Nobody wanted to spend any time with her. It's like, and it was, I'm watching this, and it was just heart-wrenching because I'm watching her trying to make conversation with her old friends, and they didn't want to. Like, well, okay, you're no longer a part of us, was the feeling. They kept looking, well, I got to get back to work. And I'm just wondering what that woman thought, how she must have felt when she left there, realizing she'd given her entire adult life to a company that now felt that she no longer was a part of them on any level. She's just part of the past, not the future, and no one wanted to be attached. Well, that's a lonely person because she had clearly not developed outside interest. How many times have we not expanded our interest, and then whatever we were a part of is no longer there, and we don't have anything to back up on, right? We're just disconnected, and that's when that apathy comes along. So what I did is I simply just created my own life. I just said, okay, well, I don't fit anywhere, so I'm just going to make myself fit. So if I'm going to work, I'm going to create my own work. Now, dumb me, right? I was told you got to go to film school to be a filmmaker, and you got to go to writing school to become a writer, and you got to go to business school to become a business person. And I didn't hear that message. So I went out and wrote all these best-selling books, and have these award-winning documentaries, and very successful in business. Now think if I'd have gone to school, I'd probably still be unemployed because I'd been playing by their rules. And one day you wake up and realize, create your own rules. As long as you're moral and ethical, everything else should be of your own creation. So I do everything myself. some people yesterday in Los Angeles saying, you did all this without an agent? Yeah, I did all this without an agent. God, we wish you were our agent. We were your agent. I said, well, I don't need one. Thank you. Common sense. I know when something's good and when it's not good, and I'll get a lawyer to look at the details. Don't be afraid to create your own world. Create what you want in it. Create who you want in it and what you want to do in it. And then do it as if every step you were doing, you were honoring yourself by doing it. And take your time. Don't rush into something and then, as you have in the past, think that now that you've made a decision, it has to be permanent. Everything in my life is temporary. Everything is temporary. I renew everything I do on a monthly basis. This way, if there's choices and decisions I've made that are not appropriate, I can disengage from them. I don't allow some foolish notion of, well, you made your bed, sleep in it. I don't allow that to stick. And that way, if people are in my life, it's because they deserve to be in my life and I deserve to be in theirs. If I'm working on something and it's a project I really feel good about, I'm going to stick with that project and make sure it gets done. If I start a project and realize it's the wrong project, I'm going to stop that project. I'm not just going to do a project because, well, I got to do the project. Think if you'd made the same choices now. Can't do the past, but now forward. Next. Change cannot come without risks.
Without what? Risks.
Change cannot come without risks. What are you willing to risk? I believe that changing the nature of hate radio to peace and love radio was worth the risk of speaking out. I spoke out and I was thrown off a program I'd been on for 26 years and 6 months. Was it worth it? You bet it was. Because by taking that risk and disconnecting people who did not appreciate the energy I was giving, I can now connect with people who are going to respect the energy I'm giving. Everything I do, it requires a risk. Everything. But think of the reward that comes from the risks. Here's how it works. No risk, no reward. Little risk, a little reward. Big risk, big reward. You've been playing it safe. You're so safe and so anal that you'd have to use a shoehorn to get your psyche back into that box. You don't do anything without guarantees and assurances. I don't do anything with guarantees or assurances. And because I don't need assurances or guarantees, I don't have a fear of failure. Because in my world, there is no failure. Just learning from the lesson. Which means that if I make a mistake about something, I can learn the lesson of the mistake I made, then allow myself to say, even with this mistake, I am stronger and wiser and more humbled and humane because of it. Therefore, the mistake is a strength, not a weakness. Don't be afraid to take risks, because unless you do take risks, nothing will change. Nothing. Just last week, I was doing a television program down in Florida. I was in Orlando and Miami, and I went out and went for a run on the beach in the morning. And it was just as the sunrise, and as the sun was rising, and the wonderful cascade of colors were ricocheting across the water in the east up against the buildings behind me, I'm thinking, my goodness, this is the most perfect sense of balance I'm in right now. Quiet, nature, and the energy was coming in. And I just kept projecting, this is a beautiful place to be. A beautiful place to be. And everyone I saw coming up the beach was smiling and, hi, how you doing? And when after I ran, I went to a local health food store and got myself a juice, and everybody was happy. I mean, happy. Not that they knew me, but they were just naturally happy because they were in a happy place. They were in a nice place. And then you go to Buffalo. You go to Buffalo. I'm not going in the wintertime. Yeah, another cold winter up here in Buffalo. 4 foot of snow, might get higher. Almost like Indianapolis or, South Dakota or Montana. Yeah. Why? Why? What are you trying to prove? If you can be in a warm, beautiful place, why not? Are we that afraid of being where we should be? Are we that afraid to be around where we can gain something, get the energy in from nature? Think of the things that we don't do because we're afraid to take the risk, as if maybe we don't deserve it, or maybe we couldn't handle it. Start treating yourself like everything you do, you deserve. Next. Say no to overdone demands. What does it mean? We all know how many times we've had demands placed upon us. And because of different obligations, we feel we must honor those. And so we just go ahead with them. It's just another ball in the air that we're juggling in life. And one day we wake up and we're 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 60, and we've got so many balls in the air that all we do is just keep trying to juggle responsibilities. And we're afraid to drop any of them. Well, what happens one day if you just let the balls drop? Let them drop. What's going to happen? Then pick up the responsibilities that are ethical and important and leave the rest be. Learn to say no to all those demands upon you and your time. Take back your time. They'll say you're selfish. No. You are selfless because you're doing something for the eternal self. You're honoring it. You'll have more freedom when you have more time, and you won't have more time if you don't give up these responsibilities. You'll always have an excuse of why you can't get around to doing something. And more often than not, because you're doing something for someone else that in realistic terms they could do for themselves. I recently counseled a woman from Long Island who has got a serious autoimmune condition, and she'd been to 4 different holistic doctors, and when I asked her about her life, and she said, "What's my life have to do with this condition?" I said, "It may have something to do with it. Let's talk about it." Well, she has 3 sons, 17, 19, and 22. They all still live at home. And when I went through her day, she cooks for them, she cleans for them, she does all their laundry for them, and she still gives them money. And I said, "Why?" "Well, because they're my sons." "So, why can't they do all that for themselves?" Wouldn't it show you something that they cared about you if they said, "Mom, you should have your own life. You don't have to do this for me." Then what's selfish? Selfish is allowing someone to do something for you you could do for yourself. But her mindset was so fixed on the idea that she had to do this stuff that she couldn't just come up with the idea that maybe she could take back her time to do the things that would be important to her, because in her day she never has time for herself. Hence, she's always stressed out, and the stress creates an elevated cortisol, and the cortisol adversely affects her immune system. So she's walking around with a broken down immune system looking for a nutrient, and I said, the nutrient you need is self-love. When I'm running on the beach, nature is energizing me. When I'm doing meditation, I'm being energized. When I'm with my pets, I'm energized. When I'm around things that I love and good music, taking a bubble bath, I'm energized. When I'm sitting in front of a gourmet meal I've made and turn out the lights, light a candle, I'm energized. Well, you got to make time for that. And it's all in how you think about it. So say no to these unnecessary demands. Next. Remember your dreams and your fantasies and your hopes and desires from when you were younger and still believed in them. Now, revisit them and ask yourself, how can I make this dream that I once had a reality now? And you can. It's very important to have dreams and fantasies and inspiration, because then the mind takes a thought and projects it to the universe. And when you project your energy out to the universe, you connect with things. When I want something, I project the energy out and it connects. You can't hold your thoughts in and expect anything to connect. Project them. And revisit those wonderful moments earlier in your life. Make it happen again. Now think of the advantage. Back then you didn't have the resources to fulfill your dreams more often than not. You didn't have the knowledge. You didn't have the character development. You didn't have the risk taking. Now you do. You have nothing to lose now. You don't have to account to anyone now. You can do whatever you want, right? You don't have to be any place the rest of your life, do you? So then why are you where you're at? Make where you want to be important and do what you want to do important. Next. Have you outgrown your life? I'll bet you have. I'll bet your life is far more dynamic, far more complex than the narrow confines by which you have packed it neatly and stuffed it into a limited perceptual belief system. You've let someone else tell you that all your values and beliefs and inspirations and qualities must fit neatly in here. And yet, your thoughts are out here. Your ideas are out here. Most people do have thoughts and ideals and ideas that are far beyond how they've lived. So surrender like a snake shedding its skin, the old self, and emerge with the power to be who you really are. Live as big as your life is. Stop trying to always fit the size 12 foot in the size 6 shoe. The pain of that constant conformity, conforming to people who you're not like, conforming to society and its ways that you don't like, has made you feel frustrated, angry, and in the end depressed. So spring back. Just let it out. Be as big as you want to be in your ideas. Next, social networking can be crucial for a lot of people going through crisis, especially for women in our society who historically have found that when they're close to other women and sharing their thoughts and their stories, their concerns, that other women's empathy and understanding gives them some strength to get through difficult challenges and times. It also can help getting the support and feedback of others. Men, on the other hand, are more hardwired to remove themselves and come to their problems alone. In fact, when women are in a congested environment, they do better. When men are, they do worse. And that's because of our conditioning. In the last few years, several million New Yorkers and people from Los Angeles have left the big cities to go live in more rural environments because they can work from those environments. They wanted a healthier, cleaner, more open, less congested, less crime-ridden area. And they've created it. They went out and created their own world. There are now 25 million people like myself who are self-employed. And we're happier. We have higher ethics. We're more considerate for the people who work for us. We're not trying to control the world. We're not trying just to get rich. We're trying to create a quality of life. But we couldn't do it in the box we were living in. So we had to look to see whether or not those support networks we've been attached to had become an albatross. Because the negative side, the imbalance side of a support system is you become codependent upon it. Every day you just have to keep going back to that same support system because you don't have the strength on your own, so you only get the strength from a group, and that's not good. Because then one day you realize that on your own, you're not doing anything. And yet, in the end, you have to be on your own. All of us are individuals. All of us must do things as individuals and stand up as individuals. Though at times in our life, various support systems are crucial to us. But don't become codependent upon them. I've seen too many people who can't make a decision without a group consensus. And when was the last time a group is going to have your best interests at stake because they don't know you at the level that you need to know yourself? And they never will. Next. Are all of your problems learned? Because if your problems are learned, they can be unlearned. And I believe that all of our problems are learned. We've learned to do things from someone else, right? You learn to eat the hot dog, the hamburger, the pizza. You learn to gamble and drink or take drugs. You learn to become a Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal. These are learned things. And with these, there are consequences of cause and effect. So what if now you start to look at all the things you've learned and say, what do I want to unlearn because it no longer maintains my sense of self-imbalance, my ethics I want today? Unlearn what you don't want to have any longer. And how do you unlearn it? Look at the consequences of each of the things that you've learned and ask yourself, are the consequences of what I've learned what I want? If they're not, surrender it. That frees you up to learn something that's more essential, more authentic in the moment you're in this point in your life to go forward with your life. You can't go forward in life with old learned habits that don't suit you for the future. You can't drag this stuff forward. You have to go free. Next, if you allow insecurity to control your life, then you have no life. All you have are chronic adjustments so that you do not feel overwhelmed by your insecurity. Every decision you make will be based upon insecurity. How valuable are the choices you make when you're insecure? They're all limited because insecurity constricts, where when you feel secure, you expand. Fear constricts, hate constricts, love expands. Joy expands. So we want to keep expanded, not constricted. Think before you make any choice and ask, is this choice coming from my insecurity? And if it is, deal with the insecurity. Don't run away from your fear or your pain. Embrace it and see what its lesson is. In all fear and pain, there is a lesson. Learn the lesson of your pain. Learn the lesson of your insecurity so you don't have to repeat it. If you think you can grow without learning the lessons of your insecurity and pain, you're deceiving yourself. Next. What illusions to security and happiness have you used? Well, just think for a moment. How about the illusion that if you work at a job forever, you're going to be secure in the future? Today, that doesn't hold, does it? Companies are downsizing. They don't care what your illusions are. They're gone. Think of the things we were told that if we, give our confidence to someone, they'll honor the confidence. How many times have you had your confidence betrayed when you're no longer in a relationship? Think of all the illusions we live by. Now, take the time to actually look at the illusions that you thought that if you followed the illusion, you'd be secure and happy. Happiness is if I'm successful. I'll show you how many people are successful or not happy. I'll show you how many people are rich or not secure. So stop living by illusion. You will not find either happiness or security in illusion. Deal with reality. Next. How can you get to the right lesson in life? By knowing what it is you want to learn and not being afraid of the lesson that you want to learn and actively seeking the lesson. If I want to learn the lesson of health, I have to study health. I have to look at what I have to do for my health, and then I have to participate. I have to self-actualize it to learn that lesson. If I want to learn a lesson of having courage, then I have to do things that take courage, including saying no. That takes courage when I would otherwise said yes, or saying yes when I really should have said no. That takes courage, but those are lessons. Seek out the lessons that you need. And when you seek out the lessons, forgive yourself for the lessons that you have learned up to this point that have not benefited you. And always remember, by forgiving yourself, you can detach from the past. You can't change it, but you sure don't have to be affected by it, because you change the perception of how the past will affect you today. we can forgive our mistakes in the past. If we don't, we're living with illusion. Now imagine every day the thoughts that you have, fear, anger, hate, violence, vengeance, and think of how that's weakening you, weakening your whole body. And in that weakened state, you imbalance yourself. And in that imbalanced state, disease manifests. Viruses come up, bacteria come up, because your thoughts have weakened you. Your depression weakens you. Your anxiety weakens you. Insecurity and fear weakens you. So then now is it such a surprise that we are so sick as a society, since most people in our society are not only sick, but they're also dealing in negative energy, constantly insecure. And then think of the power of believing in what's possible. Believing in yourself. Believing you can do things, you can overcome illnesses, you can heal relationships, you can find the energy you want to connect with. Believe in yourself, not the past, the future. Believe in now and the future. Put the energy into it and you stay strong. You're telling the cells, I believe in you, and the cells, 100 trillion, are saying, thank goodness you caught up to us. And now you're believing in the totality of life, projecting the energy out that you want and allowing the energy in that you want. And just as I want positive energy in, I can let negative energy go through and right past me. And can you? At the end of the day, we'll wake up and all of us will make a choice. Our choice will either create balance or imbalance, harmony or disharmony, disease or wellness, happiness or sadness, constructive or destructive thoughts. And all of that is solely in your control and power. Make the right choice. Thank you very much.